I like the direction it went in.
Yeah, me too. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Like the direction it went in.
Yeah, me too. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Okay, now we guys are live. All right. Let me see. Okay, I need to put it.
You want to mute the speakers?
All right, guys. So we decided to do morning coffee on Saturday, and it was pretty spontaneous, Adeel, right? We decided to do the spontaneous coffee session in person finally, and talk about the job search in today's day. Like, what are the strategies? What are the ways people can start doing to get a job as quick as possible? And yeah, welcome everyone, guys. This is our first live stream and first podcast. Also, we're doing this through Zoom. Whoever are in a crushing interview, you guys can join us and ask questions, or we also can see the questions you can ask in the YouTube chat. Anyway, Adeel, thank you for doing this all together. That's awesome. Let's talk. So let me ask you this. Actually, this is going to be interesting. We just hosted the mock interviewing sessions less than a month ago, right? So, and we see different people came. We had people with experience. We had people without an experience. So, out of this, what do you think overall? Like, what are the ways? And let's just chat about this. Like the ways how people can find the job as soon as they can.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is really getting out of your own way. It's easy for people to get in their own heads, right? Do I have the perfect resume? Do I have this? Do I have that? One really interesting book, I forget the name now. I think it's something with one that I started to read recently.
The one, yes.
Yeah. The one.
One thing.
One thing. Yeah. And it, check it out. But really short synopsis is that you decide like long term, like a year or two, where do you want to be, whatever that horizon is. What do you need to do? And you start working your way back all the way to what do you need to do today?
Adeel.
Yeah.
We need to record this thing. I think we're recording this on YouTube, but we're not recording Keep. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's just keep continuing. About the one thing you mentioned about the resumes, that what you can start doing today to get a job as soon as possible. And this to all, like for folks with experience and for folks without experience. Obviously, the strategy maybe would be similar, but the tactics will be different, right? So What do you think?
Yeah. Like the difference is if you have experience, you should already have a network. So you want to tap into your network right away. If you've been impacted by layoffs, you think you might be, whatever your reasons are, you need to tap into your network. People that you respect, people that you've worked with before, you've liked working with them, whatever you need to, right? That's your strategy. You want to start that the same day. You want to get the word out, even if your resume is not ready, even if your LinkedIn is not ready. You want to get the word out right away. What's a little bit different for folks who might be switching careers, or basically they're targeting a job where they don't have experience in. For them, what might be a little bit different is to set goals, right? Get that resume, get it out there, and apply. Just they have to really, just from day one, treat finding a job as a full-time job.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would say it's definitely like the game of numbers, right? My favorite analogy here is like with sales. I used to work at sales, and it's all about like how many calls you're gonna do, right? How many prospects you'll send out. If you're targeting, obviously you want to close every sale, but be realistic. It's not realistic, right? I forgot to tell you, yesterday we had incredible session with James Park, and he said about the interviewing, very awesome thing that I totally 100% agree. And one of my favorite thing, that interviewing is very similar to dating. Don't take it personally. Then people, I mean, it's maybe you're not match, and it's not about you. It's just you're not a good match, and you should not be offended. And this is approach, like people are hoping, oh, I'm gonna get this job. I'm super desperate, and I need this.
Yeah.
But in general, and they stop searching, right? They stop searching. But in general, I think they should keep going until they get their ass in, in their seat, right?
Yeah.
In the first day, then you can stop searching. So
yeah. Let's come back to your session with James Block. I missed it. It was a demo day for my daughter in Taekwondo, so I couldn't be there. So I want to hear more about it. But I love what he said. Right? If what's the purpose of dating somebody? You're trying to find out if you're compatible or not, right?
yeah,
And if you find out you're not compatible, you move on, right? I mean, easier said than done, obviously. But you move on. Similar thing with jobs, right? You're looking for compatibility. You want the right job for you. You want, and the employer want the right somebody who will be successful in that job. You decide you're not compatible. That's it. You move on to the next one. You don't, any feedback you get, anything you learn from that process, you grow with that experience. But like really being stuck in that. And this is where, tying it all together, you're more likely to do that if you're somebody who's like, hey, I want to target this week, I want to target like 5 jobs, right? I'm going to apply for 5 things. I want all 5 of them to reply to me. I want all 5 to get interview with those 5, and I want 5 offers. And it doesn't work that way, right? You're more likely to be stuck when when your math is off. Basically, your numbers are off. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You're putting your faith in yourself, and you're investing in yourself throughout this process.
Yeah, on average, my observation was like, if you want to get one offer, you have to go through my experience, like when I was going through interviews, and it's usually was like I failed usually 3 to 4 interviews before I'm getting the another one offer. Or maybe, yeah, it's like the fail ratio was 1 to 3. One offer, 3 to 4 interviews I would fail. To get these 3 to 4 interviews, I should have sent 10%, basically. 30, 40 get the phone call, so like something like that. Actually, not really true. I think 30, 40 activities with recruiters, so they would send me back the reply. But to get these activities, I have to send 300, 400 applications, right? So I think this kind of math, maybe, yeah, for different, I mean, obviously, like different, yeah, for different people, different results. But this is my observation. It's still numbers matters. Like if you're targeting 5 applications, I mean, 5 companies, and you apply only to them, I mean, with my math, it's like, you know, you don't have a chance almost.
Yeah.
Right.
You're setting yourself up for heartbreak in dating terms.
Right.
You know,
oh, yes, exactly. This is exactly very high hopes, right? You have very high hopes, like, oh, this is my only chance. Yeah. If you turn me back, I'm gonna go kill myself, something like that.
Well, you know, let's talk about another topic. But before we do, just another number out there is kind of this this idea, right? Right. Imagine you're looking for a job, right? And in that industry, there are 100,000 people working in, you know, in that industry, in that specific level,
right?
Or maybe even more, 500,000, right?
Yeah.
And some of at certain point in time, the 10-15% of those jobs, you know, are in flux. People are moving, people are coming in, people are moving up out of your level. So out of that, that's your target. Your target is not 5. Target is like 500,000, and out of those, what's open right now? Right.
Also, another strategy. Let's talk about this. Besides numbers, yes. Oh, yeah. We also touched this, right? When you're applying, actually, when you go and search for a job, when you're knocking the door, basically, right? Like cold applying. That's what I call. It's the least efficient activity in job searching. Actually, the best way how it works is through the referrals, right? If someone, let me give you an example. I switched over 7 companies in my career, and I got to the 3 companies through, I was referred by someone else who was working there. Yeah. And the process was much easier. It was easier with the negotiating. It was easier with the process. Like you don't need, you know, you just send the resume to your friend and that's it. Yeah. Referrals.
Yeah. I mean, referrals are the way to go. I mean, that's where when people, you know, referrals are the way, right? Because basically any job opening, there might be a few hundred applicants.
Right.
First day, first week, depending on the company, right? And what that helps you do is get your name in front of the list, right? Because there's somebody, somebody at this company, somebody that they already trust is saying like, hey, I know this person, and I vouch for them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that also helps you, I'm guessing, with those, you said 3, it's helping you make a decision as well, right? That's why it's in the company's interest as well, because the company's not interested. I mean, most companies, I would say, they're not interested in. They're looking for somebody who, you know, who fits all of the boxes.
Yeah.
Their goal is to get somebody good there as soon as possible. Right? They want to fill. Usually, companies want to fill open roles as soon as possible, and I think this is true more than ever in this market. Any open positions are really, really critical and important. You're in front of it, and it's easier for you, right? I'm guessing it was easier for you to make a decision because you already knew about the company before you applied.
Yeah.
Any questions you had throughout, you could ask this person, and you would
Right.
really trust their advice.
Yeah, definitely. Um, how you can get the referral? For example, especially this is very tough question for new people, right?
Mhm.
For changing their careers. It's easier when you have experience and like my friend, he knows, oh, Evgeny, he's a great engineer. Let me refer you. But if you are not engineer yet, right? But you want to be, you pass the boot camp, you pass, I don't know, the courses, you graduate out of the school. For CS degree graduates, it's easier, obviously. Not all the time, but still, how you can get a referral?
Yeah. I mean, I think it impacts everybody. I was just talking to somebody who recently completed their master's, right? Something tech related they completed, and how they got a hold of me was actually through my dad.
Hmm? Really?
Right? Because this is where, like, I think this is like, you just have to be that open to it. Referral can come from so many different places.
Yeah.
I once got a job at a pretty big tech company, and actually the person who told me about it was somebody who had applied for it, and they're like, hey, you would be perfect. So what I'm trying to say is networking is happening in so many different layers. Networking is not just, do I know somebody, can they get me a job?
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you're looking for genuine connections long term. But what is happening is, even networking, like if you're new, you should be just informal group, cohort, coffee, whatever, virtual coffee, whatever you want to call it, with other people who are also looking for a job, their first job, right? That's one. Another one could be you're looking at managers or people, recruiters, right? Of companies that you're targeting. It could also be people in your neighborhood who work in the same field. And it can also be, hey, you already have a good relationship with somebody. They tell you that their son is in tech.
Yeah.
And you can ask them like, hey, can I get an intro? So immediately, like, this person, like, I want to help this person, right? Because this is my dad saying, hey, this is my mom and dad are saying, hey, this is a good hardworking person. They're looking to get into tech. They've just completed their master's degree. I want to help them. So I think it's all of those. It's not just one. Networking is not one type. Like, I just want to network with managers. I would just want to network with people in my target companies. It's just, and that's where referrals start to come in, right? The most obvious one might be, you see an open position, you reach out, you have something in common with the hiring manager or recruiter or something, you reach out to them. But it's not the only way, right? There's also meetups going on locally.
We're going to talk about it too.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. There's open source projects that especially in tech, that you could be working on. Whatever the case may be, that's where referrals are coming for you when you are new.
Yes, I think creativity here is also very important, because I see a lot of times when people actually, and again, like, network is not necessarily, it's not that you going and ask something. It's actually you going and showing that you can provide the value. By showing, you actually can, sometimes you can prove it. So I see a lot of times when, especially before the pandemic, when we did the meetups, the live meetups, a lot, right? A lot of people were volunteering in our meetups, helping hosting, like, helping meet and greet. And I personally was like, I would care for these people more than the others. I was like, I feel obligated, right? I feel like, I need to help this person. I need to help assist him, like, to get a job. And I think this is the best way how you can network, when you're not just asking, but you actually providing the value, you proving yourself.
Yeah.
Like same thing. We guys, we just did a meetup last week, right?
Mhm.
At Pecchiol and Company.
What might I add? Like that was location was fantastic. The food was great. The ambience, just it was a fun event. It's been a while. I've only been to a couple of meetups so far since um, post kind of like post pandemic
Yeah,
or
yeah.
sort of the tail end of the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, and it was fantastic.
It was, it was a really great event, especially with a personal touch with each uh each members who came there.
Mhm.
Because previously we host meetups. Yes, the crowd was big. We were trying to do the networking, but still, you're not able to cover everyone, right?
Mhm.
That one was like about 30, 40 people came. Half of them, they came from YouTube, right?
Mhm.
Like they found, oh, I saw your you doing the meetup, I'll come. But the way how the last meetup, and actually that was, I want to give a kudos to Jane and Evgeny who co-hosted this meetup. They organized this activity, uh, but it was really like awesome, interesting activity
Yeah.
when everyone was talking and we had connection. All group people had connection, and you know we had people with acting background. We had people. We have person who came from Phoenix
Mhm.
all the way, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Irvine, Orange County, like 6 hours drive. Like that's a dedication. I feel like, dude, you need. I need find how can I help here, right? And I believe her name was Danica. Danica, if you watch this, contact me, please. I already, uh, but yeah. So I think when you're participating in this meetup, when you're going out and when you're talking to people, if you don't have experience, but you genuinely show your personality,
Yeah.
you want,
Yeah.
I mean, it may not turns out, but still on the long term, when you're thinking on the long term, not transactional, nobody wants to be transactional,
No.
right?
No.
So yeah, interesting. So guys, definitely, I think this is one of the best things that people can do today is just go apply and do the network, do the networking with as much people. And by networking, not just asking, but actually helping, showing that you're capable. If you don't know what to offer in help, like, I don't know. What do you think about this, by the way? About the way how they can network, not just by asking referral, for example.
Yeah. I think the other one is right. Like big part of it. Like don't be transactional, right? You're talking about make genuine connection. And this is something that's hard for me personally,
Mhm.
right? But this is I try to remind myself of this, encourage myself, encourage other. Um, you have to be open
Mhm.
as well, right? So what is your story? Like that person that came from Phoenix, right? It was awesome conversation. She's gonna do really well, and anything I can help you and I can do to help her, we're definitely gonna do it, right? Um, but she shared her story,
Yeah.
right? So it's she shared her story. It was branding. You and I could connect to that. A lot of people there could connect to that. So be sharing your story. There are different ways to do it. Obviously there's in person, being a
Mhm.
little bit open, being a little bit vulnerable, but also maybe finding ways to do that online. You know, reaching out to somebody that that you might be hesitant to reach out to. They may not respond, but you're not going to know that until you reach out to them, and make sure you're sharing that story, that connection. You have your own brand. You shouldn't be afraid of that.
Since you touched that someone may not respond,
Yeah.
and actually someone can actually reject you.
Yeah.
How do you handle with a rejection? Like, what do you think? Let's talk about rejections. When,
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday James, he touched this also, like, oh, rejections. You don't take it personally. It's you just, I don't like you, you don't like me. That's okay. That's totally fine. We'll find another match. But
Yeah.
I know some people, especially when they're desperate, right? When, for example, you got fired, you got laid off, especially nowadays. They have family, they have bills, they
Totally.
in big need, right? So the desperation doesn't really work in their favor.
Yeah.
What in this case, what
Yeah.
would you advise? How to deal with rejections, especially under the
Yeah. I mean, rejection is hard in
Yeah.
the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Evgeny, but it's happened.
Happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
I'll share the story then.
What I mean is, like, let's say, let's not even, not, it doesn't even have to be high stakes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's an open position within your company that you want to go
Yeah.
for, right? And as you're going through that process within your company, you decide, you know what, this isn't the move I want for myself, right? But you're like, hey, you know what? I'm already in the process, and this could be about anything. Like, this could be about job. This could be you're going through a process for something where you don't even want that thing, right? But right at the end, they don't select you. It's gonna hurt. Am I right?
Hurt.
It's gonna hurt, and that's human. That's human nature.
Yeah.
I think part of it for me is it's okay to want things. It's okay to be hurt. Obviously we're all different. So you have to find your answer to it. My answer is like I'll mourn it. I'll be hurt. I might be upset, and for me, I'll just move on. I'll just try to focus on what is in my control next day. That's how I handle rejection. It's like, if you get that job or not, you get that promotion or not, that's not in your control.
Yeah.
What is in your control is next day is the positivity you're bringing to the people around you, the excellence in the work you're doing, right? That is in your control next day. So I always, like, every single day, I like to reflect on what is in my control, and that's how I deal with it. I think everybody's going to deal with it a little bit differently, but you have to know rejection is part of the game. You'll have to move on.
Yeah, rejection, especially for people who didn't get used to it. Because I used to be in sales, I handled with a lot of rejections, and I kind of, like I never took it personally. I like, okay, maybe. And another thing about rejections, it's not about you. It's just the job may be not fit for you.
Yeah.
So what happened? Short story. In the beginning of my career, I went to the interview. I went all the way to the final interview. So I was hoping, and it was the beginning, like, of my career, and I got rejected. Actually, I was like, the last interview with the hiring manager. Hiring manager was tough on me. I went out of the room. I was pretty much sweating. Like, I was like, damn, what the heck? Like, what? I felt upset. Not upset because of, like, but it was very stressful interview.
Yeah.
Anyway, I already knew that I didn't do well. And yeah, I got rejected, and I was like, how to say it? I remember that interview. I got many rejections, but I remember that particular interview because I was not humiliated, but I was like stressed. I was stressed during
embarrassed, maybe?
Not.
No. Okay.
I was angry.
Angry.
Put it this way. I was angry.
No.
But I was like, okay, never mind. Let's just move on. And like couple years later, I got an invite to the same company. A company was huge.
Yeah.
Company was huge, and I was like, you know what? I went to the interview like several years ago. It didn't well. It didn't went well. Is it? Do you know who is gonna be my hiring manager? Potential. Yeah. It's gonna be. She named it. Okay, I think. Okay, it's not the same person. Like,
Yeah.
let me go. Okay, I'll do that. So it turns out that in the final interview, the same manager was interviewing me.
Oh
I
no.
was like, oh shit, should I just go?
Mhm.
No, it was okay. It was fine. I didn't get a job. I was like, okay, I think I should take it personally, but it wasn't. So
Mhm.
what happened? Like again, like I didn't get the job, I didn't get an offer, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
My ways went to different direction, obviously. So when we start doing this meetups, I mean, I never took take personally.
Yeah.
I reached out to this manager and I, oh, you know what? You remember probably me with it. I host the meetups. Join us. And she joined. She
Wow.
joined to the meetup,
Yeah.
and she's awesome. She's awesome person. She's very genuine. The thing is that
Mhm.
at that time, this job wasn't fit to me.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't fit to this job. It's like dating, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's it. Don't
Yeah.
take it, guys, personally.
Yeah.
Yes, it hurts. I was angry, but
Yeah. And I definitely don't want to trigger anybody who may be listening in, but kind of when do you want to find out that it's not going to work out?
yes, exactly.
Right? Whether you're a manager, whether you're the hiring manager or person looking for the job, it's way better to find out in the interview process. It's way better to find out, at the final interview, even though it stings, it sucks.
Yeah.
Right. And just like dating, right? Do you do you want to find out in your second date that this is not going to work out, or do you want to find out
It's better
2
to
years
find out
later?
early. Yeah,
So I think that's fantastic. And this is it's also kind of thing, right? It's hard when you're somebody new in the industry to
yeah,
when you're trying to get in, but the fact is, whichever field you're targeting, it's a small world.
yeah.
Even with like remote jobs, people moving all over the place, some people even moving internationally, it's still a small world.
Second time, I wasn't new actually. It was like,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's such a small world, right?
yeah,
You're gonna run into people um, again and again in unexpected ways, and you just part of like the whole interviewing rejection. um you you have to, because you would have missed out, whether it was that interviewer, that manager, or you would have missed out on a great friendship had you held on to that.
yeah,
Look, oh, I'm not never going to apply for this company again.
yeah,
I'm never going to be friends with this person
yeah.
again. You would have missed out had you like really just focused in on that.
This is this is very interesting. After that,
Yeah.
well, first of all, I did analyzing like of the situation. The hiring manager, she wasn't mean on me. She
Mhm.
wasn't like disrespectful or something.
Mhm.
I was just angry because it didn't it
Yeah.
didn't went well.
You were vested at
Yeah.
that point in time. You're going to the final interview. You're vested.
Yes.
Like, hey, you like me, I like you.
What do you need?
What do we need? Let's get an offer on the table and let's hash it
Yeah,
out.
let's do it, right? No,
Yeah.
it's not like that. Yeah. So definitely, guys, like the world is small. Be kind to each other, and don't take it personally. That's for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you may be rejected today, and oh, it's another thing that about high hopes and about this kind of things, because it's very depends. I see it many times when I refer person who I do know personally as a professional, as a person,
Mhm.
and I was like, this guy should be really good fit to this job, but for some reason,
Yeah.
hire managers or whatever, they didn't select him, right, or her.
Mhm.
I was like, what the seriously? But I used to work with this person. I knew him. So again, it's not necessarily that this person wasn't a fit for this company. Even I knew that he is a good, he's a good person, a good engineer.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's how it works. Like,
That's how it works.
it's very it there's so many factors that can be different and that can affect on will you be here or you will be not, right? So many times.
One note to like to hiring managers. This is where really focus in on what skills are required to be successful in the job that you're opening.
Right.
I think start with that, because when you do that, the first person, and this is how I feel at definitely at my current company, the first person who fits that bill, right? Who has the right, and you start from there, then you work your way up to, okay, what question should I ask in the interview to validate that they have those skills? But the point being, the first person who meets it, hire that person. And that might be surprising for you. That might be somebody who might be from a different background. That might be somebody who may be doing it for a long time. That might be somebody who is maybe not been doing that thing for a long time, and that will really surprise you. And some of the most talented people that I've had an opportunity, a chance to work with, it was kind of it was like unexpected. It was unexpected. Maybe there's a position I was looking for where, like, it'd be fantastic having somebody experienced, but always falling back onto, hey, what will make them successful? If I think that they will be successful, just go for it. I feel a lot of, maybe not a lot high, some hiring managers will just overthink really early on in the funnel. Just overthink their funnel. Trust your process, trust the funnel, and try to make it as unbiased as humanly possible.
Yeah, actually, interesting topic. We also touched this with James on yesterday's session about when you're trying to find the perfect fit to this job that requires XYZ skills, and the person will join to this company. He check marks all requirements, but a lot of times this person will get bored in this company because, well, he will be expensive because he is experienced, he fits to, he's perfect, but at the same time he will be expensive. But if there is no growth for him in this company in terms of skills, not in terms of skills, no challenge, not growth, I would say no challenge, it would be a lot of times could be very boring. And if you hire the person who may not fit, I mean, the basic requirements, right? And he fits the basic requirements, but he may miss several things that you need. I don't know. Let's name it, like the automation engineer or manual QA. I don't know. He don't know SQL, for example. He don't know, I don't know, Linux, for example, right? How many hours do you need to learn these things, right? Or to figure it out? Not that much, right?
Yeah.
So, but
well, I'll maybe beg to differ a little bit, because there are some skills that you don't want to teach a person.
Okay.
Right? Because they may not be able to do it. Like, for example, let's say for a data analyst, you don't want to teach them how to do SQL queries.
Well,
right?
for this is essential skill for data analysts, right?
Well, maybe a bad example. Let's say maybe what you have is a very microservice oriented architecture, and what you don't want is you're willing to teach them about APIs, but you don't want to teach them something else about it. Let's say how to bring up resources in your cloud infrastructure, AWS, Google Cloud, wherever, right? And sometimes that's through experience. Sometimes that's through experience. So you have to have, but as long as not, as long as it doesn't become like a menu card of, as long as it doesn't become a unicorn, I think it's okay to have one or two things where you're like, hey, this is non-negotiable. You must come in with this, right? And just really validate that. But I think it's okay to have one or two non-negotiables. Be like, yeah, this is an easily learnable skill, but I don't want to invest in teaching that, because I feel like sometimes maybe if you've done it long enough, you may find that there'll be people who surprise you, and then there are some people who will never get that thing. Because here's the other part of it, right? As you think about, like, especially as hiring managers, right?
Mhm.
We want to hire somebody as soon as possible. We want to fill that open position, right? There's work to be done. There's value that needs to be added to the business, to our users. It's really tough. It's very, very time consuming when somebody's not meeting expectations, when that hire doesn't work out. So you're finding that balance between that. What things are you, really long-winded way of saying, what things are you willing to coach and what things you're willing not to coach for that particular candidate?
Yeah, it does make sense. Obviously, there should be a balance, right?
Mhm.
And when I'm saying that, oh, give a chance to the person who doesn't fit all the requirements.
Yeah.
There should be a remark though. There should be a very fundamental skills that the person should have. Just for example, I don't know, if you're going to tech,
Mhm.
right? There is definitely an expectations that at least the fundamentals, I don't know, how do you learn? You're gonna go to the Udemy course, boot camp, you will take free classes or paid classes, but understanding, maybe not an experience, but understanding you should have.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a job of hiring managers to teach you the basic fundamentals.
Yeah. And here's the, one thing also, what's happening in the interview process, our managers are gauging you on coachability,
Mhm.
right? And here's where I think you used this term earlier when we were when we were setting up for this. You talked about there's a lot of people hoping
Oh yeah,
for a job,
yeah.
right? And and that's usually a self-awareness. They need to, and this is probably the hardest thing as a hiring manager, or not just as a hiring manager, as a manager as possible, getting somebody to see something that they don't see. And I feel like it's connected to like this idea that a lot of people are hoping for a job. You want to expand on that before we talk about like what are ways to change your mindset to a growth mindset, to build that self-awareness?
Yeah, the story is so I posted the shorts in YouTube
Mhm.
about short story about when I was fired,
Yeah.
right? I felt desperate because honestly, I had at the time like maybe savings 1 to 2 months, but
Yeah.
not that much.
Yeah.
2 kids, and I was like, oh shit, what I'm gonna do next, right? Like, I mean, I knew what I'm gonna do, but
Yeah.
the feeling was like not heartbroken, but at the same time was like tough, right?
Yeah.
Tough. And close to desperation, I was like, okay, I need to focus on getting a job.
Yeah.
I don't care how, but I'm setting myself. I mean, the worst case scenario would be like, okay, I'm gonna go to drive Uber or whatever, just to pay bills.
Okay.
I don't care.
Gotta pay bills.
Yeah, but I set myself 2 weeks for preparation and stop job searching.
Mhm.
Actually, 3 weeks. And I said, I negotiated with my wife. I said, if I'm not gonna find a job within 4 weeks,
Mhm.
within 3 weeks, if I'm not gonna align anything, I'm gonna go drive Uber or taxi, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. But
Mhm.
these 4 weeks, I'm gonna be focusing only in the job search, and that's it. Beast mode, right? And like wake up at 7, 6 a.m. applications, sending the applications, getting these things. So I nailed it, getting a job within a month. So, and I talk, I told this short story in the short 15
Yeah.
seconds, right? So anyway, the person one person messaged there like, oh, I also desperate, like, can you help me to get there? And it triggers me, like, I felt genuinely like, uh, well, it's a lot of courage to ask a help, actually.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
also have a lot of courage in a public place, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I'm in tech. I'm not sure what kind of jobs you're targeting. Send me a DM or whatever. And yeah, this guy, he said that he's a VA and he is looking for a job. And I felt like, oh, what I can do? Like, I, I, I see that a lot of people, uh, they have
Guidance. They don't
guy,
have,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know, they know they don't want to be here where they are,
Yeah,
but they don't know where they want to be
right.
or how to get there.
Right. And job searching, guys, it's very straightforward. Uh, I mean, my overall advice would be don't wait that someone will help you.
Mhm.
It's a great thing that, I mean, I will get this person resume. I sent him my email. Just email me.
Mhm.
I'll try to help as I can, but don't rely on someone's help.
Yeah.
That's my thing. If you,
Don't rely on like just one thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Also.
like, oh, I'll send the resume here. As we just talked like the 40 minutes ago about, like,
Mhm.
you have to send the net, right? Reach out to your network, reach out to 30, 40 minimum applications a day, right? You had a conversation with Kate on our YouTube channel,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
She said like, how many applications? 50, I believe she said. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
like high value number.
Yeah. And you know, like you, she's definitely not waiting for things to happen for
Yeah.
her. I mean, and you see like that kind of commitment and just also this idea like you're constantly like you're learning from this process. You
Right.
see someone like that early on. You see that person early on before they get a job, and then you see them get multiple job offers. You're like, you know what? I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. There's also, I mean, there's this balance, right? They talk about different personas. There's also this balance um confidence, self-awareness, and maybe even overconfidence.
Overconfidence.
um and just our our brains, our emotions are constantly playing that playing that dance. But I've had the pleasure now being like where I've seen somebody who is like brand new to a field,
Mhm.
brand new to a job, doing something new, something different, and being able to see like, man, I think this person's going to go far. And when it comes true, and those are, and then when it comes true, you're like, okay, maybe you know maybe I'm onto something. And that's what I saw in her, right? It was like always constantly learning, evolving, just whatever she was doing at a high level. And then had a chance to have that conversation, to really have her like break it down for me. I was like, yeah, that's not surprising.
Basically, actually, let's do a comparison.
Hmm.
Um, the mindset,
Hmm.
right? I think this is a lot, and we saw it, and like the different approaches into job searching, into networking.
Hmm.
So, what usually you see, like, oh, this person, he needs to change the
Yeah.
mindset, like, kind of this thing. What could be the biggest thing that draw him back from getting his goal.
Yeah. I think definitely, like, obviously, if you can, you know, developing that self-awareness within yourself, that makes life a lot easier, because then your sort of your feedback loop is is very self-contained, and you can learn and grow pretty fast. The other thing I think is really important, and this is the thing that people like, you're not, like, you talk about networking, you're not just doing it for the fun of it, but people that you're making genuine connections with, people you care about, people that care about you, get advice from them, right? And not necessarily think of it as mentorship, but think of it as coaching. You have to have people in your life that can give you advice. It's up to you to take the advice or not.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's very hard, like we talked about this, to see what you're doing, like what you're doing wrong, to be able to see that. Your blind spots, right? We talk about blind spots.
Yeah.
And the way you're gonna fill them in is by talking to other people, sharing, that's how I see it. I think it's really, really important that you build that self-awareness muscle, and then next you seek out people in your life who will tell it to you straight, and I think those two things combined is the mindset, right? And ultimately you're not
many people can take the feedback though, I think it's another skill.
Oh man, is it? Like, and coachability, we talked about, where we talked about one of the skills you don't want to teach is you don't want to coachability, right? That's the number one thing, right? If and this is something people miss in the interview process, right? You're constantly being evaluated, like, about that question, right? If you're doing like a coding exercise and your interviewer is trying to give you a hint and you're not taking that hint, or you don't know an answer to a question and you respond really poorly to that, right? Maybe you get upset as an interviewee, like, hey, this isn't even applicable for my job, for my position.
Why are you asking that?
Why are you asking that, right? Being like really, what's the confrontational? Those are the things that are being watched out for as well. And because ultimately that's the hardest thing, because we all have blind spots. I have blind spots, right? I want to hear, I want feedback from my peers, people who report to me, my boss, obviously, other people, and make their life easier. Essentially, the people that are rooting for you, you want to make it easier for them to tell you what you can do better.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you have this person who can give you the feedback, that's a golden thing. Yeah. Well, first of all, not many people want to give you the feedback, especially honest one. If they say, oh, you know what, Evgeny, here's the thing that you need to improve, right? Nobody likes to do that. Nobody wants, everybody, you would be expecting, oh, you're doing a good job. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the hardest thing about being a manager.
Yeah.
Right. And perhaps a little bit harder for me than other people. Because obviously I care about the people I work with, right? And it's natural for me, like I want them to take, I want them to care about me, right? And so it's really awkward and difficult, but it's one of those things you have to just build. Have you read the book Radical Candor?
No.
Fantastic book, by the way. But
by the way,
oh yeah,
sorry, we got a question, guys, and the mic has echo. Guys, can you post it there? Like, if you still hear the echo, maybe should we put it closer to? I'm not sure we have tested.
Oh yeah, I wonder if the echoes from through YouTube.
Through YouTube? Oh, hold on, that's gonna be horrible. No, it should not be through YouTube. Anyway,
Maybe share the Zoom link with them.
yeah, maybe. I think, guys, you know what? I'll post the Zoom link. Damn it, what's happening? Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, we forgot to test out our
On the YouTube.
the YouTube.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Oh, no. Mahmoud said, thank you. Yeah, for giving us a feedback. Yeah, sorry for interrupting.
Mhm.
The book.
Yeah. So this ultimately, like what giving feedback is difficult.
Yeah.
But that's the best for them in the short term. But it's also the best in your, from long term, right? Just be like, it's gonna impact trust, right? When somebody that you care about and they care about you, you held back. If they find out 6 months later that you felt a certain thing they could have done better, and you find out 6 months later, you can be like, well,
Yeah,
I trust this person. So it's difficult. I know it's very, very difficult,
it is.
but think in terms of long term. Give that feedback. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for them. And it's going to be ultimately better for your relationship long term. And if somebody, and again, we talked about this a little bit. If it's not going to work out, let's do it sooner, right? If somebody who's not gonna like feedback, why wait? Why wait a month? And this is something like we struggle with sometimes, like, in our peer group, when I talk to other managers, where somebody's be like, man, I'm having difficulty telling this person something. And you're like, and I've experienced this myself, and you're like, okay, you should do it. Well, let me, there's no way it's going to land 2 months from now. If it's not going to land today, it's not going to land 2 months from now. It's going to be worse. So just do it as soon as possible. Like, and again, direct is kind. I remind myself that. I ask other people to remind themselves that direct is kind.
Yeah. I agree. Being transparent and honest, I think that's what you are providing, right? Yeah, I know it's tough. There is another book, a business book, which is not related to. It's actually the opposite way. Like it says, hire. I'm not necessarily agree, but this is what they're saying in that book. I don't remember. Hire. So fire fast and hire long, because usually you're like, I'm trying to give a chance to this person, but times is going and it's not improving, and it's another topic. We have
interesting question.
Yeah, what is that?
They're looking for advice. They haven't applied yet. Looks like they're ready to apply, and they had a recruiter reached out to them on LinkedIn about open positions, and they're looking for advice about preparing for a conversation. The way I look at it, correct me if I'm wrong, is looking for advice, talking to a recruiter, and in this case, talking to a recruiter for the first time. You've been on that side of the game,
Yeah,
Evgeny. So what advice do you have?
Well, with the recruiter, guys, just so it should be not that hard in terms of, like, they don't expect that you're gonna ask you very technical questions. They may have kind of screening questions on basic requirements that you should look into the job description for sure, especially like the first 3-4 bullets in the job requirements. This is kind of usually a must. Yeah, don't be nervous. Recruiter, they usually there to help you out to figure it out if you are fit or not.
Yeah.
With the minimum requirements like salary, like your remote hybrid, US citizen, not citizen, or
Yeah.
very, very basic. So yeah, don't expect. Be yourself.
And I think this is one of the mistakes people make is think of the recruiter as like an adversary.
Yeah.
Right? Think of recruiter as a matchmaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to fill that position faster
Then a recruiter.
than a recruiter.
Exactly.
Right? You want that position, the manager wants to hire, but there's nobody who's more vested in that outcome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not most, but they're part of that process, and they're just bringing two people together.
Right.
So treat it that way. Learn about them positions, learn about themselves, and usually I find recruiters are, they're just a lot more forthcoming, right? If you talk to them and it turns out you're not a good fit, they'll usually just tell you.
They will tell.
They will
Yeah.
tell you.
They will
And
tell.
again, it's around coachability. If you seem like somebody who can listen to that, who can listen to some honest feedback, they will give it to you. If you seem like somebody who's argumentative or confrontational, they'll say, oh, let me forward this to my hiring manager and we'll get back to you. And then, wait a few days
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
send you
Yeah.
an email. So that skill continues to apply, but never be too intimidated talking to a recruiter. It could be the recruiter for like the biggest company in the world. It could be a recruiter for a startup. It could be a recruiter for just anything. Never be intimidated. Just go in there as somebody who can help you with this position.
I would say, yeah, talk to a recruiter like to a friend. He will honestly tell you, like, if you not fit because of, let's say, you have a very high salary expectation, for example, and the company will not going to be able to match that expectations.
Yeah.
Or, for example, you are the web developer and they are looking for a mobile developer, and he'll tell you like, oh, I'm sorry, it looks like, it's not a fit. Yeah. And also recruiters, they also looking into the soft skills, like as you just mentioned. If this person is very resistant and he is like, nobody wants to hire, like assholes. Like, I mean, I know that, it's very everyone to hire likable people.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
There's this other book that I'm reading. It's called Build. It's by the I forget the name of the author. Very, very famous person. This person led the product development on the podcast with Apple. Later on, they were, I believe, a co-founder on Nest, and going through the acquisition. They have a whole chapter dedicated to assholes.
Interesting.
And they break down all the different kind of assholes you're going to encounter, and how to deal with them. Fantastic read. I just finished the asshole chapters.
Nice.
So I haven't finished the book, but
Send me over.
I would definitely highly recommend it. Like it's the type of thing you listen to it. I was doing an audiobook. I wasn't actually reading it. And you just have to stop and be like, think about all the people who fit that.
And you're thinking, am I fitting into this? Hopefully not.
I don't know if it was this book. No, I don't think it was, but it's a meme, right? Like if you're trying to figure out in a team who's the asshole and there is nobody else,
Maybe it's you.
Maybe it's you.
All right, guys. I think we had a great session. Adeel and I, we decided to do this more often. This is another thing that we just started. It's very interesting. Hit us like a plus sign in the comments in the YouTube if you like it, and thumbs up would be the best way to say it as well. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Oh, and before we wrap up, if you have a chance, once it's posted, check you plan on posting the James Fogg,
of course,
interview?
Yeah.
Check that out, definitely.
100%.
Last week it was posted, my session with Kate.
Yes.
Really insightful and very inspirational. I was inspired, so I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot out of it.
Immigrant girl found a job, 2 offers. She
Yeah.
had experience in Homeland, but still, this is in this economy, like,
Mhm.
and a lot of people say, oh, I feel that I'm not good at English or something like that. No, just go and search. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't overthink.
Don't
Don't
overthink it.
overthink,
Yeah.
right?
And just like the advice to that person, like don't overthink it. Talking to a recruiter, you're
Yeah,
looking for a job, they're looking to hire somebody. Just have
yeah,
a conversation.
yeah, yeah. Last question. What do you think about pressure on the market those days? How to study interview effectively? Like which part should study more? You want to answer this question?
I obviously the positions you're targeting for practice the hard skills, do projects, learn about tools that you think are in demand you don't know about, whether it's Udemy, whether you sign up for a course, whether you learn from another person. The other part is, and I think this is equally important, what you're doing. Like this is a good idea, right? Get feedback from, understand interviewing,
All right.
how to answer questions. Interviewing, it's its own skill,
Right.
right? Interviewing is its own skill. Like I've heard from so many like people, essentially what people notice, it's a long-winded answer, we're trying to wrap up here, but what we notice is people getting jobs and people not getting jobs, right? This is the outcome bias. You're not noticing in between the person who is getting jobs now when they were not getting jobs, or they were not getting the jobs that they were targeting.
Yeah.
And they saw like they saw a gap. So what I'm trying to say is also practice interviewing, practice, understand the different type of questions that can be asked, and practicing those questions. Find somebody to practice with, um, whatever it takes. That's why, like, I guess rolling back to like networking within your peer group, people who are looking for a job is also super important, I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah. And guys, join to our mock interview program. Go to our website, crushinginterview.com.
Yeah.
We're doing this and for free, and we're doing this in private groups. Yeah, follow us anyway. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.